Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's Community Services Committee meeting. The date is May the 10th, 2022, and my committee members are Councillors Bosch, Councillors Berg, the esteemed Mayor Clayton, and myself as the chair. We'll call this meeting to order, and our first order of business is delegations. And just a reminder to all delegations or anyone who's interested, you can come and present to committee or council. Just give us a heads up before you come in, especially on the committee dates, and we'd be more than happy to hear what's going on in your world. First up, though, we have the Art Gallery of Grande Prairie, and we have a couple ladies here, and I just welcome you up to the presenters table, and please do introduce yourself and tell us all about the wonderful news at the Prairie Art Gallery today.
Is this on? Yeah. Can you hear me?
Okay. Loud and clear.
Hello, I am Brittany Kelsey. I'm the manager and currently the interim executive director. I am joined with Sabine Schneider, and we're going to tell you about our accomplishments in 21. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay. So for the gallery, we have 3 impact statements, and that's how we measure our success. So we have social, cultural, and economic. Next slide, please.
Again, good morning, everyone. Does it work? Yeah?
Nice and close. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, they're flexible too. You can bend them down.
So as for social impacts, art encourages creative, excuse me, art encourages creative problem solving. It also encourages literacy. It builds community leadership, as well as people skills. Art supports well-being and also illuminates new social perspectives. Nurtures community caring and promotes curiosity and higher learning. We'll note 96% of Albertans believe heritage resources are important for lifelong learning. In 2021, the Art Gallery delivered 104 tours, workshops, camps, and on-site learning experiences to 3,124 people. Over 2,200 visitors viewed or created artwork in our community art installation called Scratch and Shape and Illuminate and Glow. Scratch and Shape was inspired by passion projects in which we showcased artworks by world-renowned artists Picasso and Marc Chagall. During the first Grand Northern Winter Festival, we had 506 visitors alone who participated in our Illuminate and Glow community art installation inspired by community members' experience of the Northern Lights. Next slide. 423 hours were logged by 11 volunteers who assisted with education programs and at the same time improving our community. Next slide. No, this is the same. Right. Volunteering has been a rewarding and enriching experience. The facility is beautiful with world-class artwork, and the staff is both friendly, welcoming, and knowledgeable. Next slide, please. The Art Gallery is also a key support for Indigenous culture and breaks down racial divides. In 2021, the Art Gallery included and exhibited artworks by 16 regional Indigenous artists. And with that, I'm going to hand it back to Brittany.
So for our cultural impacts, we inspire communities, create intercultural dialogue, and we are a major contributor to quality of life. 65% of skilled workers and businesses consider the arts as part of relocating. As we all know, as we just hosted a doctor's appreciation event. Next slide. We have over 6,000 people visited the gallery in 2021 for the 12 exhibitions. We'll note that 3 were never seen in person. In 21, we exhibited 75 artists, writers, photographers, curators, locally and from around the world. We'll note that 50 were local artists from our region, which is amazing talent. Next slide. 81,000 people participated in our hosting of Alberta's Traveling Exhibitions program in schools, cultural centers, libraries, and civic centers throughout the Peace region. And in 2021, over 90% of these were attendees from residents in the city of Grande Prairie. Next slide, please. For our permanent collection, as we are a museum, we have over 850 pieces. We are dedicated to exhibiting our permanent collection and displayed the work of 12 artists in 3 exhibitions in 2021. 94% of Albertans believe that heritage projects contribute to quality of life. Next slide. For economic impacts in 21-22 fiscal, the city provided 32%, which contributed to wages, contract supplies, materials, and services. With a gross economic output multiplier of 1.4, every dollar invested in the gallery, you see a $4 in benefit. Next slide. Working through COVID. As you're all aware, we had a pandemic, and unfortunately, we were closed for about 6 months of 2021. That means several exhibitions were only available online. As you can see in the image, we had a wonderful Alberta artist, Carl White, the closure of drop-in art space, the Carlstrom Family Green Space, cancellation of many traveling exhibitions throughout the region. We were unable to provide school group and tours through January to June of 2021. And it also meant the catering of donations, fundraising, and sponsorships. Next slide. We were able to adapt and innovate how we deliver our programs and services. Through that, we shifted our exhibition schedule to include a community art installation, as Sabine already mentioned. We continue to bring art through our community through our temporary art loan program. We presented programs like artist talks and exhibits, tours online to increase accessibility. We were able to shift our financial focus, since we weren't able to get the sponsorship funds, through granting opportunities. Next slide. As you're all aware, we are one of the largest free admission galleries in Western Canada. In 2021, we served approximately 100,000 people through viewers and program participation. As one of the largest cultural, educational, and historic preservation organizations in the region as well. Supporting through the city, we are a major asset in shaping the city's reputation, key tourist attraction, positive contributor to local economy, and we are a key investment in a quality of life and widely used by city residents. Next slide. Questions?
Wow, that was awesome. You guys kept it right into the 5-minute timeline. Well done. Thank you very much, Sabine. Thank you very much, Kelsey. I'll turn it over to committee for questions here. Looks like we have Councillor Burke.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Thiessen. And thanks, ladies, for hosting last night. That was a great doctor's event and an important part in our community. So one of the things, obviously, you're transitioning out of COVID, and we saw that you got to open late June, early July. One of the things that I know that might be affecting you was the art auction moving online. Did it impact you, and are you going to go back live this year?
It did impact us, but we budgeted for it being less of a revenue stream, hence why we really moved to grant writing. This year, we are really hoping to have a vibrant in-person event with still the online aspect, as we did see a lot of people who weren't able to normally come to our community participate, which was wonderful.
Great, thank you.
Welcome.
Awesome. I actually have a question for either Brittany or Sabine. So in your slideshow, it said there was catering of donations, fundraisers, sponsorships. So now we're in 2022. How's the recovery going? Are you recovering some of those lost funds?
Yeah, so right now we're trying to build those relationships with other sponsorship possibilities, as well as really trying to focus on a fundraiser that will bring in the revenue, as well as just be talked about through the community.
Very cool. Thank you. Mayor Clayton.
Thanks, Chair Thiessen. Just a question in regards to numbers. In 2021, you had 6,000 people approximately visit the gallery. I'm curious, pre-COVID numbers, what's the comparable? Do you happen to know that?
Yeah, it's normally around 20,000.
Right. I have Councillor Bosch.
Thank you, Chair Thiessen. So if you had 6,000 people come to the gallery in 2021, you have 100,000 viewers. That is all online, or is that partly with the education side?
That would be through our pivoting through online programming, so the virtual tours, artist talks, as well as our Art at Home webpage that was created. So through that, plus the 6,000, we were able to get our numbers up.
What was the numbers for pickup for projects for kids, the education piece?
That was over 10,000,
Thank you.
and those were free.
I don't see any more questions. I'll just fire off one more. Is there anything, any new exciting exhibits that are coming to the gallery that has us all Twitter-pated or will have us all Twitter-pated?
Well, we currently have the George Littlechild exhibition, which is about residential schools, so it's a really impactful exhibition. I do recommend seeing it and taking your time through it. And then I'll let Sabine talk about a really fun one that she's curating that's coming up.
So on June 16th, we are opening an exhibition that's called Sock Monkey Scenarios by a Vancouver-based painter and artist who's really well known. And those are really, really uplifting, fun, somewhat also cynical images of sock monkeys. They're very vibrant, colorful. They kind of connect to our very successful Carlstrom Family Green Space. We are hoping to reopen in June. And so I think on what we call upstairs the learning level, the community hopefully will really enjoy this fun exhibition and will also bring lots of school programs, community programs, and yeah, I hope everyone is going to come and see it.
I will also say the sponsor for that is a new sponsor, and it's Krause's Cleaners Socks.
Seems fitting. Awesome. I'm looking around. I don't see any more questions from committee or council. So I'd like to thank you both, Brittany and Sabine, for coming in today and presenting, and for all the good work that you do at the Art Gallery, making it one of our country's finest facilities for art showings for people to enjoy and come to. So thank you very much for the glorious work you both do.
Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you.
Right, so moving right along, we have two other delegations. Our next delegation that said that they would be here is a man I'm familiar with through my work on the Mighty Peace Watershed Alliance, but Mr. Abdi Siad Omar, here to speak to committee about the Wapiti Corridor Recreation Plan. And Abdi is online. There you are. Nice to see you again, my friend. Welcome. Oh, I think you're muted.
I was muted, sorry. Yeah, nice to meet you again, Chris. You and I, we worked on the Mighty Peace Watershed Alliance. And thank you, great, for this opportunity. Here we want to talk today a proposed project of Wapiti Recreation and Trail Management. So my colleague is Dave Shafer. So Dave will do the first part of the presentation, and I will do the second part. So Dave, welcome.
Yes, thanks for the invite. My apologies, my camera stopped working on my new laptop yesterday, so we'll just have to go with the audio. And so my name is Dave Shafer. I am the Recreation, Education, and Partnerships Manager for the North region of the province, which extends just roughly sort of from Highway 16 north and then a little bit down to Catamount, so a fairly large territory. And we're going to talk, as Abdi mentioned, about one of our recreation and planning initiatives next to your city there. Could we bring up the presentation?
I don't think we have it. I've just looked at our IT guy, and he's shaking his head no. We don't have it. We do have it in our package.
Okay. Okay, who would like to bring that up? I think Lori was potentially going to bring it up as well from our group. I'm not sure if she's on here. What's the easiest way to do that?
Can I share with my screen with you?
Yeah, you could share screen.
Sure. Yep.
Here we go. All right, we're up and running there, Dave.
Okay. Do you want to put it in presentation mode there? Abdi, or?
Yes.
So as he's doing that, it's an exciting time in the recreation management, public land recreation management field for us. And we could talk fairly at length about our new program, which is less than 2 years old. Lots of great stuff there, and we do have another presentation we could come back and provide to council specifically on our group and what we do and how we're organized. But we'll leave that for another day. Today we're going to focus on the recreation and trail management plan. Let's go to the next slide, Abdi. And why are we here? Let's just go through the bullets there. So there's a bit of history we'll touch on just briefly in the next slide, but the latest event relative to this that was sort of catalyst was in late last year, County of Grande Prairie wished to resubmit a plan that had been developed by a group of recreation users and was submitted to the Crown previously, and the intention was to resubmit it and request support for that and some sort of approval and status for that plan. What we did in government is, we looked at the plan, and the plan was developed sort of outside of government, so it wasn't really something that we could adopt as policy that would provide us sort of the tools that the area needs. So at that point, we had advised the county to hold on resubmission and that we would instead instigate a new AEP government-led plan for managing recreation in the area. So we put a framework in place to do that and to support the plan development, and Abdi's going to be talking about that shortly. And, it's an area, and I believe there's a map coming, next to the city where there's, as you know, there's fairly intensive recreation. There's quite a few users. I think we have nearly 100 stakeholders identified so far. There's a lot of issues, frankly, and there's also a lot of opportunity there. So certainly what we're looking for here at the end of the presentation is your participation and endorsement of joining us in this planning initiative. Next slide, please. So just really quickly, there was a number of previous plans that were created in the past. Wapiti corridor plan in 2013, another plan in 2016, a plan that we led in 2017 that wasn't completed for a number of reasons. And then we're looking at the last one there on the list. That is where we are today. So there's quite a bit of history there. I don't think we need to get into that necessarily. But really, it does beg the point when you look at the list of previous efforts, why is this different? Well, certainly we've got a new government that has developed a Crown land vision, which is available, and it's fairly brief, but provides the framework for standing up a recreation program outside of provincial parks. We have legislation that supports the Trails Act in particular, and there were some consequential amendments to the Public Lands Act to support the Trails Act as well. And we have a recreation management program that did not exist 2 years ago. So if you go far enough back, and I'm talking 25 or 30 years ago, there was a Government of Alberta recreation program on public land outside of parks. We had guardians, we had campgrounds, we didn't have to pay anything, and so forth. That has changed quite a bit. So, so we have now a new dedicated recreation management program supported by the legislation and the Crown Land Vision. And quite excitingly, we also have access now to capital funding, which we didn't have outside of parks previously. So a lot of things have come together to make this really an opportune time to begin this sort of recreation planning. And I'll turn the rest of the presentation here over to Abdi. Thanks.
Thanks, Dave. So before I do my presentation, I will introduce myself. My name is Abdi Siad Omar. I am a senior planner with the department, and I have been around with the department for about 25 years. I am not new to the Grande Prairie area. I was the lead planner for the Wapiti Water Management Plan, where the city was a champion for that planning, and I worked with Michelle Garner and the city hosted many of our planning process. I'm also on the board of directors of the Mighty Beast Watershed Alliance, where Chris was also a representative from the city. So now I'm leading this proposed plan. And why are we doing this plan for it now? You know, as Dave suggested, there are so many opportunities available now within the department. So one of the key drivers of this planning process is Alberta's Crown Land Vision. So we have a new vision. And this new vision, key directions is basically balancing recreation, conservation, and economic development on a busy landscape. So as you are aware, outdoor recreation is becoming very popular. And if it's unplanned, it can create problems instead of be beneficial for the community. So the policy recommends a balancing recreation, conservation, and economic development. We also, the policy provides also effective crown land management. It's about working, planning together to meet diversity goals. So we are not doing a planning from the top. We are working collaboratively with the local communities. We focus on outcomes and reducing red tapes. So instead of producing more rules, more restrictions, we are focusing more on outcomes, working with the users and the local community and local stakeholders. Another key element is sustainable funding and partnerships. So this is a new direction. The department promotes a shared responsibility. So we are working with the stakeholders. We want to develop partnerships. And another key element is we want to establish clear and understandable systems of land use. We have so many conflicts in different uses. So we want to come up with clear understanding, delineation of the uses in some areas. In addition to the policy, we do have a Trails Act. This is something new to Alberta. And some of the key elements of this act is recognizing designated trails as a key component of sustainable recreation that contributes positive environmental, social, and economic elements. Establish a trail management planning process with consideration of many land uses and values. Right now, trails are used as ad hoc, and that creates so many problems. We want to create a planning process where we recognize the values of uses of different landscapes. Establish and manage designated trails. So where possible, we want to designate trails for certain activities to support the desirable user experience, conservation of landscapes, protection of environment. We also want to recognize the cultural and historical significance of the trails. We enable collaborative partnership, participation in trail management, and encourage shared stewardship by all users. So these two documents, the legislation and the policy direction, leads us to develop this plan. So the main purpose of this plan is to provide direction and guidance for developing a high-quality recreation infrastructure and trail networks that are ecologically, socially, and economically and operationally sustainable. More specific objectives include we want to establish a system of sustainable trail development and recreation management on public lands. So our focus is on the public lands. Establishing recreation and trail management objectives to reduce land conflict, protect critical wildlife habitat, and ecologically sensitive areas. We also support the economic development and enhance the safety and responsibility of recreational use. Exploring sustainable funding to provide high quality. Funding is very important, so we want to explore infrastructure funding. And enforcement is also a key strategy. This is one of the key issues in the Wapiti corridor. It's an enforcement issue. So these are the specific objectives we want. I'm not going more in details in here. You are very familiar more than me. And managing an extensive recreational uses will result extensive damage to sensitive sand dunes, vegetation, riparian areas, watercourse, wildlife disturbance, conflict, and introduction of invasive beasts. public safety risk, including wildfire, target shootings, and inappropriate or trail designs, random camps. So you are familiar with this challenge that is happening. In addition to this, despite the challenge, we do have opportunities. If the trails are properly managed, we have tourism and recreation opportunities. We protect more the ecological sensitive areas, fish and wildlife values. We reduce the land use conflict, and we promote partnership and sustainable funding for recreation and trail management. So these are the opportunities we want to capture in the planning process. Here is the proposed geographic planning area. As you recall, the previous plans were ending it up to here. So here we are proposing about 5 areas, and this is not written in stone. We will be collaborating and confirming with all the stakeholders. So we have more into the westerly area here. This is a new area. There is so many opportunities for recreation. This is more developed site for recreational activities where you have night hawks. And the second area is the sand dunes. You are very familiar with that. And then the corner on the easterly portion, it's more on the grazing lease area. So there's the green areas are Crown land. We are not making any plans or recommendations on a private land. And lastly, the corridor site on the south portion of the Wapiti River. So these are the key management units of the planning process. The relationship with other planning initiatives. As you are aware, the department is leading Upper Smoky sub-regional plan and Bearland sub-regional plan. So both areas is adjacent to the proposed planning area, but not overlapping. There's a small area which overlaps in here. But this shows the relationship between the different types of planning. So if you recall, in Alberta, we have a planning hierarchy systems. So we do have regional plans, then we have sub-regional planning levels, and then we have issue-specific plans. So the proposed plan is part of issue planning level. Okay. So now, in project governance, how we are proposing to develop this plan. So the project will be led by Alberta Environment as the decision makers, but we want to work collaboratively with the local communities. So we have a project steering committee, we have a planning unit within the government, but the key element for the planning process is we want to establish a stakeholder advisory committee. And the stakeholder advisory committee will provide guidelines and directions to the planning team. And who are the stakeholder advisory committee are people who have an interest, such as, for example, municipalities, recreational groups, leaseholders, and indigenous communities. In addition to that, we will hold public engagement. And here we have municipal planners. The counties in particular have planners, and they have done a lot of work. They collected a lot of information. We will incorporate into the planning process. So far what we have done is we made a presentation to the MD of Greenview, the County of Grande Prairie, and we are doing today with the City of Edmonton, the City of Grande Prairie, sorry. And we did also with the grazing leaseholders. We also we met also with WARA, and we presented about the planning process. We are in the process to meet other stakeholders until to finalize those who are interested to participate in the stakeholder advisory committee. So today we are proposing we are seeking your participation in this group by nominating 1 or 2 representatives. So that is the reason we are here today. And in terms of planning process, don't worry about the timelines. We need to fix it more. But it's divided into 4 phases. So the initial phase is the one we are doing now. Establishing steering committee, developing project charter, developing terms of reference, communication plans, and engagement. The second phase is where we focus more on data gathering, like, for example, inventory and mapping of the trails and recreational values, mapping and inventory of ecological values, and engagement of feedback. And then once we gather the information, we will develop management options. Just, for example, how do we want to use specific trails, or what use we want to designate for a specific area or a specific trail. And then we will have public engagement, consultation of the draft plan, and then we submit for approval. So that's all I have, and thank you for this opportunity.
Yes, thank you, Abdi, and thank you, Dave, for the presentation. I did let you guys go a little bit over time there, but when we're talking about our water management systems, recreation plans, and how we have our impacts on those lands, I feel it's very important. So thank you very much for that. I'll turn it over now to our committee for any questions that they might have. I see Councillor Berg.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Thiessen. So you answered my second question, but I still have two. Are any of these trails located within the city limits?
Abdi or Dave?
I will answer that, Dave. So let me stop sharing this one. Our focus is trails that are on public lands. But we can look opportunities to connect the trails from the city, from the county, and the trails from the public lands, so they can have a network of a trail system.
Okay, thank you. So the follow-up, so to clarify, what role are you asking from the city?
We are asking the city to be part of the Stakeholder Advisory Committee. And that is the committee that provides a direction for the planning and the scope of the planning process.
Great, okay, thank you.
I do have a couple questions in the queue, but I just want to follow up Councillor Berg's question, if I may, Abdi. Now, when you're looking for our participation on the committee, is that are you looking for professionals, like as in our administration, or political, as in members of council, or both?
What we ask for the county, it's for example, it's the councils of the county.
Okay, so
and the professionals we can use as a resource or expertise, so we can engage them, we can communicate with them. So far we have a communication with Kate and Michelle Garner.
Okay, and so we
are looking for a council person, yes.
Okay.
Just to add to that, we also did show on that schematic of the project governance that there is a municipal sort of technical group that I believe you would be able to participate in as well if you have professionals that you'd like to include relative to sort of the technical issues on the trail design for connecting with the trails that are within the city limits.
Okay, thank you very much for that. I appreciate both answers. I have Mayor Clayton and Councillor Bosch.
Thanks, Chair Thiessen. Yeah, my comments are more exactly that, comments, so I'll leave it for later dates. I just want to thank the presenters. I think there's valuable information here. I know that a lot of city people use, especially the dunes area for recreational activities, as well as the Nordic trails. So thank you for the update, and I think as a council we can see where our best fit is. Thanks.
Thanks for that, Mayor Clayton. I have Councillor Bosch.
Thank you, Chair Thiessen. Just a quick question to tag on to Councillor Berg's. I'm curious, if you're using Crown land, what is the distance right now? I know you had a map, but in layman's terms, what are we looking at as far as connection to our trail system?
We don't know yet, but this is one we think that we want to explore through the planning process.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And I have I have one question here for either Abdi or Dave. So a part of your slide presentation was you mentioned that there had been many attempts to create this, and I'm very familiar with some of those attempts to create this recreation corridor. Now, it said the reasons why you could have success is that we have a new government, so that's the Crown land rules and all that. But what happens in the event of a year we might have a new government? Does that stall or change the plans potentially?
Yeah, so I can take that one, Abby.
Yes.
Well, I mean, anything is possible with the new government. You know, we certainly don't know for sure. But the intent of all these land use planning processes, regional, sub-regional plans, or this level of plan, you know, is that the planning process itself would continue, and you know, and we would remain engaged and continue towards delivery. You know, there may be a slightly different angle from a different government potentially on how they view the overall recreation program, but you know, but the need remains there, and our anticipation is the planning process would continue on.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't see any other questions from our committee or council here today. But just to reiterate, what you gentlemen are looking for is a commitment from the City of Grande Prairie to sit on this board for the Wapiti River Recreation and Trail Management Plan. And that would come potentially in the form of a letter or a process. I think that council might still need to discuss either today or at a future date. But it's very important work that you gentlemen are doing, and I thank you again for coming in and for your presentation.
Thanks for the invite.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, moving right along, we have our third delegation here today. You know, last name same as my own. My brother from another mother, Mr. Jeremy Thiessen, here to have a little discussion with us. Welcome today, Jeremy. Nice to see you again, mister.
Yes, you too, my brother from another mother, Mr. Chair.
So what brings you in today, Jeremy?
Basically, I wanted to talk to you guys about a business proposal, because there, as an individual with disabilities, there's just not enough employers out there that are willing to take us on as an employee. I mean, I'm very grateful for the city for creating the opportunity at the arena that I have. But anyway, I want to create a partnership with the city, maybe also with the Rotary Club and the Rotary Employment Program, to open up a concession at the CKC football field, as there's that little bit of concession stand area within the existing foot plan that you guys managed to create, even though the project went over budget.
Awesome. Anything else, Mr. Thiessen?
I just want to basically see if the city would be willing to eliminate some of the normal red tape that's involved with doing partnerships with the city in prospects of their buildings.
And in order to run the concession at the CKC field?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know you guys normally have to put it out to tender to everybody, and then if you do that, then my project may not necessarily get selected as the best fit for the city overall.
Okay, so that's fair. That's a fair request. Something to bring forward to council. I see you have a friend there with you too.
Yes.
Good morning. Thank you. You support.
Oh yes. I also have support from my stepdad, who's a master electrician here, and he was saying that with his knowledge of operating a business and stuff, that he could reach out to different companies to see if they would be able to do some pro bono work, like in terms of what needs to be installed in that space because of cutbacks due to the budget of the building.
Okay. Well, that sounds really good. Sounds like you got a lot of support there in your background. And I'd like to thank you for coming in. You presented very, very well, very, very professionally, and really appreciate that, Jeremy. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I have a couple questions for you, if you're willing to stick around and answer a couple.
Sure.
All right, I got Councillor Bosch first, and then I got Mayor Clayton.
Hello, Jeremy. Good job. Thank you for coming. I guess my question is, because I'm not sure which spot you're talking about, is it indoors or outdoors?
Indoor.
Yep. So there is an unfinished space on the south end of the grandstand, and originally that was designed for, or in the design concept for a basic concession space. So it is unfinished. It has absolutely nothing in there. But when Jeremy approached us with this idea, we looked at this as being a little bit of a seasonal opportunity, because we do open the grandstand April or May or whenever we decide to get outside. And then we quite typically operate right through until November, depending on how local clubs do. So a seasonal opportunity for a concession sales space. Do you want to talk about the idea that you had of the business?
Oh, yes. The name that I have registered with the government already is Rocket Dogs.
Awesome. That leads to my second question, Jeremy. Do you have a business plan made up for this, or do you have known supports for, let's say, procurement or staffing?
I'm currently working with the Community Futures, and I did do up a little bit of a basic business plan. And when I first met with Angela, I did present the idea to her and my basic little sketch of a quick overview of a business plan.
Thank you for answering those questions. See, it takes entrepreneurs like you to make this community what it is. So thank you for coming.
Thank you for that, Councillor Bosch. I got Mayor Clayton.
Thanks, Chair Thiessen. Most of my question was answered in Councillor Bosch's second question, but I'm curious if you've reached out to any of our current concession operators. I think that it might be a natural fit to you to reach out to either a Better Than Fred's, who is operating the concession at Bonnet's Energy Centre, or potentially the operator at the Coca-Cola Centre, because they may be somebody that can help you get to an operational level, and they probably can answer a lot of your questions.
Yes. I have talked to John a little bit about wanting to do something, and I've also talked to the Hat Trick Grill owner as well about wanting to get into operating my own concession business, and he has given me some advice and stuff in the past.
That's great. Thanks so much for coming today, and it looks like you've done a lot of your homework, so appreciate you bringing forward this idea.
Awesome, and a great idea it is. I'm looking around the chamber. I don't see any other questions, so just one more time, Jeremy, great job today presenting, and I wish you all the well in creating this business space, and potentially, I could be ordering a dog from Rocket Dogs one day here, so thank you so much for being here. All right, and that concludes today's portion of our delegation business. Moving right along into item 3.1, I have the Director Service Area Report, which puts Director Arlen Miller on the camera view.
All right, thanks, Chair Thiessen. So I'll start off with Community Knowledge Campus and the aquatics area. So the Northern Lights 2022 Piranha Swim Meet was held this past weekend. There was over 300 athletes that attended the facility, and it was a very successful event. We have a aquatics new hire incentive program that we officially launched. So newly employed aquatic staff can be reimbursed up to $500 for advanced courses and certifications. So in an effort to encourage more people to become aquatic professionals. And more information can also be found on our website. On May 9th, we removed the Splash and Play pre-booking process, and we're just moving to drop-ins only, and drop-in only public swimming. And then just a comment about bookings, the 3D, sorry, not about bookings, but the 3D Children's Society hosted the 20th annual hockey and soccer tournament on Friday, May 6th at CKC Westfield in the adjacent East parking lot. It was an all-day event for children from local school districts playing soccer and hockey. It was outdoor hockey to raise funds for critically ill children in our local school district. It's another really good community event that it's an annual event. With events and entertainment, Catherine Ridgway was excited to announce that Bennett's Energy Centre has awarded the RFP for the ticketing services to Paciolan Ticketing. And Paciolan is a leader in the ticketing industry with over 40 years experience. And they sell about 120 million tickets per year in over 500 different venues across, over 500 live venues. The new system will go live July 1st, 2022, and will feature many enhancements for fans, promoters, and agents as well. And then with facilities, just wanted to make a comment about the outdoor pool. So the facilities team and some contractors have been working very hard trying to de-winterize the facility. The weather isn't helping, so we're not certain we'll have it open for the May long weekend. Looking at the forecast, it's I think on Thursday it's supposed to be about 11 degrees. Overnight, it's been the temperatures have been hard to deal with. They've had to run the water to keep the water flowing. So not certain it will be open, but they're doing their very best. It's something we may want to revisit in the future, just with the way our weather is unpredictable, that maybe we target early June or the first weekend in June versus the May long weekend. So but that'll be further discussion, and we'll provide an update as soon as we make a decision on the opening date. And then recently they also had a startup meeting for the facility engineering review for MCC. With Fleet, they're continuing with the seasonal changeover processes. Sports Development, Wellness and Culture. The department would like to thank the bid committee and the city's senior graphic designer for the time and talents that went into preparing the bid to host the 2024 Alberta Winter Games. And International Museum Day takes place on May 22nd, and that's a partnership between the City of Grande Prairie, the Philip J. Currie Dinosaur Museum, and the Veterans Memorial Gardens and Interpretive Center, and it helps to raise awareness about local museums and their importance in our community. So from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., patrons will be able to visit each museum while taking part in activities, crafts, and also a virtual scavenger hunt. With transit, the VIA vendor staff will be on site May 10th and 11th, training our accessible operators and admin staff as well. The accessible software launch date is scheduled for June 7th. And just an update on the transit redesign and on-demand implementations are delayed slightly until mid-July. And that's as a result of delays from the vendor. So, and that's my update, Mr. Chair, unless there's any questions.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Director Miller. Sounds like lots going on. I got Mayor Clayton in the queue.
Thanks, Chair Thiessen. Apparently I'm the chatty one today. Anyways, Director Miller, remind me, because it's come to my attention multiple occasions recently, I want to talk about the score clock at the swimming pool. I don't want to do it today, but just at a high level, is there any time appropriate there will be an update in that leading into budget?
Director Miller?
Thanks, Chair Thiessen. I don't have an update today, but I can certainly, I'll talk to Ms. Redding about that.
Perfect. So even if it could be I don't think I need a motion for that, but if we could just get a verbal update on the status. I guess it leads into budget discussions in regards to plans that may be being put forward for the facility, but that's one that's on my radar, and I know other council members have had discussions about it as well.
Okay.
And it triggered me when you talked about the swim meet, because I heard the swim meet was great, 12 teams came, lots of swimmers, but then the follow part of that question was, but the score clock. So yeah, thanks.
Through the chair, if it's all right with the chair, we do have Miss Redding here today. If she would be prepared to provide an update, just to.
Going, Mr. Chair, up to you.
I think this is something, well, she's in the building, so might as well take advantage of it while she's here. Probably not prepared to comment on this, but more than willing to give us a brief update.
Perfect, thank you.
Good morning, thank you. I don't have an update on the from the weekend. My apologies, I was away. However, in connecting the software program that we have that runs the score clock, it's those two pieces that we need to get to the bottom of. And so we did yesterday have a discussion regarding some of those bigger pieces for budget, and the score clock is one of the things that we were hoping to bring forward for capital.
Awesome. Councillor Bosch.
Thank you, Chair Thiessen. Yes, I echo Mayor Clayton's comments on that. So for this past weekend, was the clock working, or is it still an unusable clock?
My understanding is that it was working prior to the event start, and my apologies, I don't have the update on if there were any glitches over the weekend.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I just at a high level know that it was working, just it's not operationally efficient. So.
Okay, thank you. I will look into that for sure.
Thank you for stepping up to the presenters table. You did great, Ms. Redding. Thank you for that. We look forward to future updates and budget considerations. Yeah, thank you. And any further questions for Director Miller? Seeing that, I just will make a quick comment. The 3D Children's Charity, as was mentioned, a big thank you to our staff. Came out in an email I received yesterday for how gracious a host they were. For any members of council who are interested, tomorrow they're doing a live presentation of to the kids who are receiving the funds and the proceeds from the 3D Children's Charity Hockey at Kateri Mission School at 11 tomorrow. So if any member of council is there, I know only 3 were tagged in an email, but I'm sure you're all welcome if you have the time. Moving right along, we got item 3.2, 2022 city events. And to that, I'm looking to Mr. Rory Terrence to update us on the potential for a new event happening in the downtown core. Oh, and you brought friends. I love it. Welcome. I think I know all of you, and so does council, but for those viewing at home, please introduce yourselves. I guess we'll start with you, Rory.
Thank you, Chair Thiessen. With us today, I have Haley Kramps, Supervisor with Sports Development, Wellness and Culture, and Catherine Ridgway, Manager of Events and Entertainment. So we'll be tag teaming this report, so you'll hear from all 3. So I'll start just with talking about the event strategy. So as you see in the report in 2020, Haley and another member from our team came to council, letting them know about all of the wonderful events that were going to take place that year. And as we know, 2020 didn't unfold, and most of those events did not happen or happened in a very limited capacity. In subsequent years, obviously 2021, we were able to host more events, again in more limited capacity, but many were about to go out. Going into this year, being in a post-COVID world, on wood, we are now proceeding with a number of the events that we had in the past. We did undergo a bit of review, looking at all the events and identifying which ones we should go forward with and which ones we've had success with in the past. And so we are going to be going forward with most of them, and Haley will speak to that soon here. But one of the things we identified was that we haven't had a very thorough look at overall why we provide events. What's the mix of events we provide? Are we targeting? Are we reaching all the demographics in the city? Is there appropriate mix in terms of the different seasons? So building out an overall event strategy, and so that's something administration's identified, and we're planning to work on this year as part of the. We're undergoing a branding and image strategy throughout the year, and we thought this could be run in parallel to that, as a lot of what we do with our events does affect the city's brand, and it's how we portray ourselves to the community. So with that, we will be engaging on that. We'll be looking forward to residents and to council's input on, again, the mix of events. And with that, I'll turn it over to Haley, who will go into talking about some of the highlights of this year and some of the new events that we have planned.
Sure. So just a quick recap of the ones that we added in 2021. Thank you. That we'll be bringing back. So we'll start with the Sundays in the Park series, which will take place in Muskesipi Park again. And then also the Saturdays at South Bear series, which will take place in South Bear Creek Park. Both are aimed at working with community groups to bring people to the park for free sessions on both Saturdays and Sundays. And then also we'll be continuing with the Halloween Haunt this year, which took place at the Grande Prairie Museum in Heritage Village. It was a haunted scavenger hunt throughout the village for youth, which went over quite well. It was well attended and also pretty fun to put on. And then also we'll be reviewing Grand North Winter Festival. It was a multi-day festival that took place at Bonnet's Energy Centre, Muskesipi Park, and also Montrose Cultural Centre. It was at the beginning of this year, and we are working to host a similar event in 2023. It featured ice sculptures, skating parties, wagon rides, and a whole lot more. In addition to this new event, we'll be hosting an Experience Downtown event to celebrate the end of construction, which will take place at the end of summer, and will work to highlight the new infrastructure and also the businesses in the downtown core. In addition to this event, we'll also be adding a Harvest Festival to our 2022 lineup. This event will take place in late September and helps us to celebrate the end of summer while bringing in the fall season with the traditional harvest-style games and also live entertainment.
Okay, so while we're looking at all these new and exciting events, we also briefly took an overview of Municipal Government Day. So a brief history on the event. It started in 2002 and was initiated by the Federation of Canadian Municipalities to help educate residents on what municipal government brings to their lives. The event ran annually from 2002. We looked at a renewed version of the event in 2020, which obviously didn't happen because of the pandemic, so we haven't hosted that event for 2 years. So we feel that the initial need for Municipal Government Day has decreased with our enhancements in our web platforms, specifically website, social media. We feel council and administration is a lot more accessible than it was in 2002. The events and entertainment team are very supportive of reallocating some of these funds from municipal government, or all of the funds from Municipal Government Day, to other city-led events.
Excellent. So, I'll just add on to that with Municipal Government Day. One of the thoughts is there was a lot of great elements of a part of that day where city residents got to interact with city equipment, and we had fire trucks there, police cars, and those types of things. There was different booths from city facilities, and our suggestion is that those elements should still remain, but we should incorporate them into more into the other events that exist. So, for example, Canada Day or this Experience Downtown event, that we could have some of those elements take part in there, and so that people are exposed to city's operations. In a variety of areas, not just on one standalone event. So that's our suggestion. If you look to the recommendations, obviously we're looking for endorsement of our plan to have the event strategy. The Municipal Government Day, if council is in favor of transitioning and evolving Municipal Government Day, we are suggesting that those funds that were budgeted previously, $21,000, be allocated to the Experience Downtown event. And that, if we want to have a 2-day event, which is something we've envisioned to really have a big celebration downtown to celebrate the end of construction and to highlight all the great work that was done down there, that we have an additional $35,000 from Council's Strategic Initiatives Fund that would go towards the event. And with that, I'll turn it over to the chair.
Thank you very much, all three of you. That was a great tag team effort, and nice and quick and straight to the point. I appreciate that very much so. I have Mayor Clayton. Her hand is diligently raised.
Thanks, Chair Thiessen. Thanks for the schedule. I think it's great to see all the various events that we do put on in the community. People often forget that these are all city-led initiatives, and you know, they really add to people's comfort and enjoyment in our city. There's a couple, though, I'll come back to, but first I wanted to talk about the experience. What's it called? Experience Downtown. So, love the idea. Think it could become an annual event. Don't love that it's tied to the end of construction. In my opinion, if future councils want to continue with other phases of the downtown rehabilitation project, they may choose to do that. So construction isn't really potentially done. To me, this is more of a Grand North Summerfest. It's not a, and this year it's downtown. It could be an annual event that next year could be at South Bear Creek, and other years could be in other locations. In my opinion, we've done a lot for downtown, and we've focused on downtown a lot. I think this is a great idea, a great concept. I just don't love that it's tied to downtown, because I hear from business owners on a regular basis that there are other areas of the city that also do great things and provide great experience and provide great retail and great business across the city. So love the concept, happy to support it, agree that maybe Municipal Day has earned its keep and it's time to put it to bed, and now we're time to revive it and make a new event. I just don't want it, in my opinion, it shouldn't be a solely downtown event. It should be a summer event, and we could make it an annual event going forward. The other comment I had, just the sensitivity around, in July, the Homeless Initiative's annual event. In my opinion, that's a Homeless Initiative's update, check-in, something, but it's not an event. Events, in my opinion, are celebrations, and this is truly an information session. So I would just be cautious of the wording on the sensitivity in that regard. And that's all I had for now. Thanks.
All right. I don't know if those are great comments. Thank you very much for that, Mayor Clayton. I'm not going to make you answer any of those. I don't know if there's a direct question there. I have a couple members in the queue. I'll just throw in my own 2 cents. I think I agree, and I agree to disagree with the mayor on this. I think especially coming out of COVID and the impact that our local small businesses downtown have faced through not only the shutdowns of COVID and lockdowns, but also the shutdowns due to construction over the last 8 years in the core. I think to have a little celebration and phew, that's finally over with. Let's get back to work and encourage people to go to the core. I think it's a great start and kickoff, but I do agree there are underutilized areas, and we can shift maybe in future years, but I like the focus currently on our core.
Didn't say it wasn't good downtown this year.
Oh, of course not. Of course not. Yeah, no. But I might even be more inclined in working with the Downtown Association and other partners to maybe want this festival there for a couple of years at least. Councillor Burke.
Thank you, Chair Thiessen. I love that the city is engaged in creating a very active lifestyle. It's wonderful, and the Winter Festival was a home run. So I do want to echo Mayor Clayton. I do love the idea of a summer festival, but possibly roaming it around. But yeah, downtown this year would be appreciated too. More than Haley, I guess this question is more for you because you brought it up. You'd mentioned South Bear Creek Sundays, I think, and Muskosipi Park Saturdays. What type of events are you hosting, and how would people apply or explore how to become part of that?
Yeah, for sure. So for a really good example is last year we had Sundays in the Park, and we did a soapstone carving, and we partnered with the Center for Creative Arts for that. And then we also partnered with the Disc Golf Association to do some intro disc golf out at South Bear Saturdays. And we did require pre-registration in the past. However, this year it likely will be a drop-in first come, first serve scenario. And all information when they're released will be able to be found on our website.
Actually, more to the point than the citizens engaging, it's more about how would somebody become part of that entertainment or part of that?
Yeah, for sure. They're definitely welcome to email us at events@cityofgp.com, and we are always looking for new vendors to work with, new community groups to partner with. No idea is a silly idea, so we're open to hosting a lot of things.
Perfect, thank you.
All right. We have Councillor Bosch.
Thank you, Chair Thiessen. Thank you for your presentation. You know, our fundamental strategic direction is quality of life. So this fits in very nicely with that. My question to you is, you said there's an end of summer event and a harvest event. How close are those together?
So I believe the end of summer event would be the Celebrate Downtown event. Sorry, not Celebrate, Experience Downtown event, and that takes place in the end of summer. The Harvest Festival takes place closer towards the end of September, so there is about a month of difference in there.
A month, okay.
Yeah.
And will that continue to be? Like if you have a summer event, wherever that may be, in the core or outside of the core, you're going to do another event a month after?
Typically, that's how our summers go. So we have Heritage Day just a month after Canada Day as well. We have major events almost every month, and we work to make sure that there's something every month for the community.
Okay, perfect. And then a question I've been asked a few times, are you still doing the Food Truck Fridays?
Not at this time, no.
Perfect. I just need an answer. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Tarrant.
Thank you, Chair Teason. I just wanted to just clarify something. So the Experience Downtown event, at this time, we're not planning it to be an annual event. As part of the larger review we're doing, we think that there may be opportunity for an end of August event in the city's event calendar, and we will explore that with council and residents to see what type of event. The idea this year was just to celebrate some of the successes in the downtown rehab.
Wow, thank you for that, Rory. My queue is filling up right now. I have Councillor Bressie, Councillor Blackmore. I'm going to go back to Mayor Clayton and then get Kevin O'Toole, if that's okay.
Great, thank you. Yeah, for me, I'll keep. I'm excited for that strategy we're going to talk about and to talk about the overall vision. I'm really excited for the strategic conversations council is going to have so that we can get a good overall approach. Just a quick comment about that is when this does come to council again, something that'd be useful for me to have is there's a few events that we don't own at all, but we're very significant partners in. I know a lot of staff resources go into. Street Performers and Bear Creek Folk Fest are two that come top of mind. And just when we do have those strategic conversations, it'd be useful to have a list of those too, just so I can get an overall view of not just what are we owning, but what are we significantly investing in. But I look forward to that conversation.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that, Councillor Bressie. I know that this council and the previous council talked about a large community events calendar, not just what the city does, but what other people do, and that one-stop shop for the whole community, and how do we advertise that to them. So that may be something we might include in the future discussion as well. I have Councillor Blackmore.
Thank you, Chair Thiessen. I just had a comment, Mr. Tarrant, regarding the Experience Downtown idea. And if you want to, this is just a comment, maybe you want to keep your options open by calling it this year Experience Grande Prairie Downtown. And then in the future, if you move it, you may want to have, I don't know, Experience Grande Prairie Muskosipi Park or Experience Grande Prairie in the park. So you create a common theme, but you keep your options from making it mobile. That's just a suggestion, but I like the idea of that late summer festival. Thank you.
And maybe something like stores in the core and more. Hey. I got Mayor Clayton.
Thanks, Chair Thiessen. Yeah, I really appreciate Councillor Blackmore's comments. Same thing. Although this is only identified as this summer, I encourage administration to bring forward as an annual event. I think that we could easily offset a summer and a winter event. The one I just had a comment on, and I'm sure it was COVID related, but the Christmas tree lighting, it would be awesome to see it as a larger event this year. And I'm sure that was probably in the plans, but Councillor Bosch and I were pretty lonely this year lighting the tree by ourselves, trying to make it exciting, but it would be great to see that it's a larger event. Thanks.
Looks like y'all are getting off the hook. A lot of comments, no questions, but maybe Councillor O'Toole has something to fire at you.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for the presentation and the good information. I was just curious, a number of years ago, we invested a lot of money on 101st Avenue, the front of the farmers market. We kind of put festival sidewalks and miscellaneous things in there to encourage that. Is there anything planned in the future, or has it come across your plate that we need to host something there?
Which one of you three want to take that? Miss Cramps.
Yeah, so this downtown festival, maybe annual summer festival, will take place. It is we're hoping to have the 2-day event. So the first day will be on that festival avenue, and then the second day would be on another street, potentially both the same. But we are hoping to highlight that street specifically, as well as the downtown core.
Thank you. There you go. I knew Councillor Toole wouldn't let us down with a good question. Thank you very much. Looking around, I see no other comments or discussion, so you're off the hook. You just get to listen to see the motions being made here, and I'll look to a motion. There are 3 in the queue. Mayor Clayton.
Chair Thiessen, I would move that committee receive the event strategy engagement plan for information.
Right, that's the first of a potential 3 motions, so I'll call that to question. All in favor? And that one passes. I got Councillor Bosch to make the second one.
Thank you, Chair Thiessen. I move that committee recommend council reallocate funds identified for Municipal Government Day in the amount of $21,000 to the Experience Downtown event.
Okay, that motion is in order, and I got Councillor Burke.
If I could make a friendly amendment to that, I would suggest that we change it to Experience Grande Prairie event.
Yeah, that is a friendly enough amendment. I think we're still looking at the naming right now, but Experience Grande Prairie sounds pretty neutral to any area of the city and every area of the city. So that's in order. I'll look for the vote. I'll call to question. And that motion passes. Just a quick comment. I was really happy to hear that even though we may be abandoning the traditional Municipal Government Day, I was really heartened to hear that we would still incorporate various elements. I know how much those kids love the fire trucks and then the fire obstacle courses that they do. It seems to be the hit of every Municipal Government Day. So incorporating some of our services that are really popular, even getting on the bus. I know a lot of kids got excited about that. So it's all really cool. So I got one more motion to be made, and I'll look to Mayor Clayton.
Thanks, Chair Thiessen. Yeah, I agree that the people that love to come out, have a hot dog, and climb on the fire trucks will still be, they will still be served. So that's great. Committee, I would move the committee recommend council allocate $35,000 from Council's Strategic Initiatives Fund for the Experience Grande Prairie event. And with that being said, if administration in their workings wants to come back to committee, send an email and name it something else, feel free. It's just, I think that committee's intent is just not to tie it to downtown. Thanks.
Yeah, and thank you for that. And that quick amendment on the fly with the wording. That's why she's our mayor and our fair leader. All right, I'll call the question. All in favor? And because you voted for her, John, maybe, I don't know. Awesome. Thank you very much, all 3. Really appreciate this. Look forward to the events this summer and look forward to seeing how this all blossoms. So thank you very much. All right, with that being said, we are to the last part of our committee agenda today, and we are looking to update our outstanding items list. And to that, I'll turn it to Director Arlen Miller.
All right, thanks, Chair Thiessen. Just 3 items on the list, and they're all on track to meet the expected report dates.
All right, yeah, so no changes to be made. I have a question from Councillor Blackmore.
We had 2 delegations today that were not responded to, and so I'm wondering where the chair is expecting to put that on the agenda, or if it's going to be on a future agenda.
Yeah, that's fair, and I appreciate that comment. I was actually thinking about it when I scrolled right down to the bottom of the page, and I think more particularly to our, well, we had 2 delegations, our last 2. I'm not sure what, I think for the second one, I think if there's a motion to come out of committee as far as maybe bringing this to council and working with Alberta Environment and Parks as a member of the Wapiti River Recreation and Trails Master Plan. Mayor Clayton.
Thanks, Chair Thiessen. If committee is interested, I would suggest that you pass a motion for the mayor to work with this association to find the appropriate delegate. My suggestion would be, from a political stance, that it not be an elected official. I understand that there are other municipalities involved in this project. However, it's not in our backyard. I think the county would probably appreciate us having a representative at the table. I just don't know if it's best that it's a political member. There are many people in our community that are, actively engaged in using those amenities. And so just for sensitivity, I think that we could have that discussion later. But if you just direct the mayor to find an appropriate person, then I would discuss with council who that could be.
Okay. I'll look to Councillor Berg to make that.
Thank you, Chair Thiessen. If I could make that motion as worded by Mayor Clayton.
All right, now look to our clerk here. Did you catch that? So I believe, as I heard it, the motion is to direct the mayor to work with the delegation to find the most appropriate representative for the city. And I agree with those comments. Actually, that's part of the reason why I asked, like, are you looking for technical or are you looking for political? Really, I think when we're talking about planning documents, Abdi has experience working with Michelle Gardner and some of our planners, and they may be a bit more technically suited to draft up a plan that works for the city and for our regional neighbors. So.
And Chair Thiessen, if I may, I think that the city's biggest role in this is engaging the public, so that the public has an opportunity to consult on the project.
100%. Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for making that motion, Councillor Berg, and for framing the motion, Mayor Clayton. Call the question. All in favor? Okay, so this is where I'm a bit confused as to the next direction. I know the Art Gallery of Grande Prairie is pretty much an information piece. I don't think it requires a motion. As far as Mr. Thiessen's ask, I'm not sure what motion comes out of there, but Mayor Clayton may have an idea.
Just having an informal discussion with our CIO, I think probably the best direction is for a motion to be, I'm happy to make a motion. I keep forgetting I can make motions here. I would move that to direct administration to bring back a report in the opportunities of working with this individual in a concession at the CKC field.
Sounds awesome. Very good. Okay, well, that's sort of the direction I was hoping the motion would go. And I'll call the question. All in favor? And that motion passes. You know what they say, experience wins Stanley Cups. So thank you very much, Councillor Blackmore, for utilizing your experience and getting us to the goal, which is, I'm sure, what the Oilers want to do tonight. All right, so we do have our outstanding items list. I'll look for a motion to accept that as presented. Councillor Bosch.
Thank you, Chair Thiessen. I move that committee receive the May 10th, 2022 outstanding items list as presented for information.
Very good. That motion is in order. I'll call to question. All in favor?
Mayor Clayton votes in favor.
Okay, it's unanimous. And that motion carries. And with that, our meeting is adjourned. We'll take a short 5-minute break before we get to infrastructure and economic development. Thank you for watching at home.